Hyperdrive now. 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 Hyperdrive now.
Prepare to be aggressive.
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 Hyperdrive now. Hyperdrive now.
Prepare to be aggressive.
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 Hyperdrive now. Hyperdrive now.
Prepare to be aggressive.
Hyperdrive now.
Prepare to be aggressive.
Hyperdrive now.
Prepare to be aggressive.
Hyperdrive now. Hyperdrive now.
Dai deserti arabi verso un gioiello incastonato nel mare scintillante. L'isola, sede di una cultura antica, una bellezza senza paragoni. Ma il cambiamento sta arrivando. Il caldo sta aumentando. E il fuoco non mostra pietà. Mentre nuvole di cenere raggiungono terre lontane, ma i nostri guerrieri non hanno paura. Corriamo per il cambiamento, per il futuro, per l'isola.
This is Extreme E and we're in Sardinia for round 2 of the championship and the NEOM Island X Prix as we travel around the planet to highlight the climate crisis facing us all and to see some incredible racing in our all-electric SUVs, the Odyssey 21. My name's Andrew Coley.
I'm Jenny Gale, and tell you what, we have Laura Winter down in the pit lane for us as well, and we have 2 events back to back. On the way is qualifying 2, Heat 1, and then we can do it all over again. That's the best thing, because we've got another race coming for you this weekend.
Yes, indeed. We've got two qualifying races today, 2 races in the next 5 days. We've already had 1 session this morning, Q1. The cars went out individually on what is a fairly punishing course.
Last season, there was great drama in Sardinia, but let's tell you about this sport. What is it? How does it work?
Extreme E is a fully electric off-road championship racing on the most challenging terrains across the globe. 10 world-class teams, each fielding 1 male and 1 female driver in gender-equal lineups. In each session, both drivers will compete behind the wheel of the Odyssey 21 electric SUV, with a driver changeover, the switch, halfway through. Each driver gets an NEOM hyperdrive boost in every session, giving them an increase in power to provide thrilling overtakes. There are also bonus points available for the fastest team through the Continental Traction Challenge section of the course over the weekend. Day 1 is qualifying with a round of time trials followed by a round of head-to-head races. This decides how teams line up for Day 2's racing. Day 2 sees high-speed knockout racing with the goal of reaching the final. First up are the 2 semi-finals, where the top 2 teams progress from each. Then it's the last chance to progress in the winner-takes-all crazy race. Fans can vote for their favourite driver in grid play, with the winning team able to select their grid spot for the final first. The 5-car main event sees the teams battle it out to be crowned X Prix winner and bag 25 championship points. The team with the most points after 5 races will be crowned Extreme E champions.
So now you know. Basically, that's how it's going to work. And look, the paddock looks absolutely beautiful. The sun's shining, but I hear in the garages it's a little bit warm.
40 degrees C we're hearing inside these inflatable tents which travel around the world on the Santa Elena. Been hard work for them already this morning in Q1. Let's take a look back at some of the best of the action from that.
So we got underway with RXR. It was Arlen Kotelinski, followed by Johan Kristoffersen taking to the car. And you can just remind yourself what it's like to be here in Sardinia, the beautiful island X Prix with water jumps and the likes, a little bit of air taken as well, and a switchover zone, which means 45 seconds minimum hold.
Yeah, modifications to the cars ahead of this round. Everybody's got new suspension components which improve the handling and the strength of the Odyssey 21. I have to say, Arlen Kotelinski and Kristoffersen looking every bit as confident as they looked in Saudi Arabia, where they took the win, and they set a time here, first out in the session, which would not be bettered.
Next Next up, it was the Abt Cooper team, Alataya and Kleinschmidt taking to the track, and you can just see the windscreen wipers blowing away. And it was a slow switch for them as well.
Yeah, it was a bit of a messy switch. They then got a penalty for speeding, which was then taken away when actually they decided that the data on the car was wrong. Kleinschmidt said she felt she hadn't tried quite hard enough. She had 2 spins yesterday in free practice, and that had knocked her confidence. So she'll be looking to go a bit quicker during Q2.
Absolutely, that on the way for you. Next up, Veloce with Woolridge and Christine GZ taking to the wheel. However, it was not going to be the perfect run for them. Just watch what happens to the front right. Oh dear.
Yeah, so suspension collapsed for Woolridge, and you can see the wheel locked up completely up in the arch. If he could have carried on, he would, but he couldn't get the car back round to the switch zone, and game over. Don't want to do any more damage to the car and give the team too much to do ahead of that second session. So Christine GZ didn't get her time in the car. She's still suffering a little bit with her ankle from last time out as well.
Next up, JBXC, and it's Kevin Hanser and Hedda Hosas, who finally gets a chance to have a go on a full race weekend. Let's see what she can do. No Molly Taylor this weekend, but I tell you what, nice team pairing here.
And Molly is actually watching, by the way, over in Australia. She said it's 4 degrees Celsius there, Jenny, so about 10 times colder than it is in the tents in Sardinia.
Good day.
Good run from Hansen and Hosas. Hosas taking it steady on her runs. Relatively speaking, she actually did some great sector times, but no risk in the high-speed stuff. She bent herself in.
Gilmore and Faust for McLaren talking about the Antipodeans. We can do that. And they wanted a better round than last time. Faust rolling that car in Saudi. It's been rebuilt. They're probably still finding a bit of sand in there, but again, decent pairing. However, wasn't set to be, was it?
No, they were on for a top time. Faust was at the wheel on the second lap and coming through one of the bumpy sections. Unfortunately, an issue for them on the front right as well. We've not had confirmation if they'd had a similar issue to Veloce, but we have heard that potentially both teams were slightly offline when the issue happened. Hard for us to see. We can't see everything, but you're on board there with Tanner. Well experienced in off-road racing, just one of those things, unfortunately.
Worth noting,
looking for a change in luck.
They took hyperdrive off the line as well.
Yes.
Different hyperdrive usage this weekend, and Laia Sands and Carlos Sainz as well using theirs in a I think more usual route, but there could be some variations coming up later. And of course, it's 5 cars racing. We've got 2 races coming up for qualifying 2.
Yeah, off the start, hyperdrive's an interesting choice because, of course, we've got 5 different start lanes heading into one merge in the end off through the bushes. Sainz and Sands, though, putting on a real show. Carlos Sainz pushing super hard on the second lap. They weren't able to match the times of RXR, but they did in the session P2, so great job by them.
Yep, impressive stuff. El Matador doing his work. Andretti United were next up. Timmy Hansen and Katie Munnings. They had a software issue on practice day, but no such issues for them when it came to getting out there for the first part of qualifying, taking that mud and wet zone pretty nicely as well.
Timmy Hansen swapping over to Katie Munnings. Katie putting a blinder of a lap, Jenny.
Yep, absolutely did. I was going through the stats. I think she was the fastest of the females, so really impressive from Katie. With her lap time was a 3:54.930, so good job from Katie.
Continental Traction Challenge this time. You've seen the flags a few times, but this time round it's going to be both drivers' time to their added up. We'll bring you some updates on that later in the show. No change in luck, unfortunately, for Chip Ganassi Racing with the number 99 Hummer EV. They stopped in the switch zone, having had a perfectly good first lap, no issues whatsoever. And they got a message up on the screen, which meant that they would go no further. This is Sarah Price bringing it in. At this point, Kyle LeDuc is ready to go. He gets in the car, Jenny, and he said, didn't he, that as soon as he got in the car, it was completely dead. Oh,
thank goodness for that. I thought you were going to reenact exactly what he did say, which wouldn't be wise.
No.
Not wise at all.
Yes.
But he was a little frustrated. You can see they were both upset. They've just had nothing but bad luck. So it's time for that luck to change. Hopefully we'll see a better result for them in Q2.
It's BMS's battery management system. We correctly guessed that last time out, which we were very pleased with ourselves about. But say not so pleasing for Kyle LeDuc and Sarah Price, especially when they were fastest in both free practice sessions yesterday. It'll come.
It will, it will. Next up, it's Molinaro and Scheider. So a new lineup for you in the Excite's Energy team. No Ollie Bennett this weekend.
This was the driver change. nice to see Scheider finally getting a shot. He's driven all these courses, he's driven the car tons of times, of course, as the championship driver, the male championship driver.
That's a reality.
That was Molinari, you can hear in the background saying she just needs to go a bit quicker, but she said she hasn't had much seat time. That was Scheider putting the front left headlight through the scenery and setting a decent time. They ended in P5, but the gaps between P2 and P6 were really small.
Yeah, very, very skinny. There's a lot of time to be made up out there, and a small increase could see you jump well up the leaderboard. All of these points going through to tomorrow. This is an intermediate classification final. Up there, X44 with Loeb and Gutierrez, but disaster was set to come. The rear comes off, and then...
Yeah, puncture for Sebastian Loeb. Watch the rear right there, 1, 2. You saw the air come out twice as he pitched the car in through those bumps. With just a little bit too much lateral pressure on that tyre, it pushed it off the rim. So Loeb continued, the tyre flailed off the recyclable body shell of the Odyssey 21 in its new livery, and he dragged it back to the finish. He lost only around 36 seconds, doing about half the lap with only 3 tyres. And then Cristina Gutierrez jumps in the car, and Loeb goes into full-on WRC mechanic mode. And they had a bit of a job getting the old wheel off, but got it done and only lost 2 minutes in the process.
Yeah, they did a remarkable job just to get that car back out, and all important with 3 non-classifieds that they managed to do that. So good on them for dragging it round. They set a slow time, but doesn't really matter in the large scheme of things. They managed to finish 7th, which is all important.
And worth noting as well that both of them, Loeb managed to get in a great time on the Continental Traction Challenge before the puncture, and Gutierrez did the same when she had the new wheel on for the 2nd lap. So to salvage 7th and a good standing in the Continental Traction Challenge, I think is a decent result.
Yeah, I think it's RXR that lead the way with a combined time, combined this weekend of 1:11.577 and X44 close up behind them. But look, that's the qualifying standing results after the first session, and it's RXR who lead the way. Who can beat them? Who can bring the challenge to them? When it comes to racing, 5 cars taking on each other, we will find out very shortly, because qualifying 2 is on its way in just a moment.
Well, Extreme E chooses its race locations very carefully. All the sites face some of the biggest threats to planet Earth. The island of Sardinia is prone to devastating wildfires caused by the hot, dry weather linked to climate change. There's an example of it from last year. That is why this round we are racing for wildfire resilience.
We are in Sardinia today. This is one of the spots of one of the most dramatic mega fire happened in Sardinia. That happened last year in July, exactly 1 year ago. And it was a fire that affected more than 20,000 hectares of area. They were completely devastated.
In the last decade, as well as in Sardinia, wildfires have raged in North America, Australia, Indonesia and the Amazon, though the impact of them can be felt the world over.
You can often trace the immediate cause back to man, but the larger cause is really the fact that the climate has been warming up extremely, and we've been getting sufficient heat to almost to cause spontaneous combustion. Globally, the wildfires are really serious as far as causing sea level rise to accelerate. And this is something we've been studying with another project with Extreme E, which has been to work on top of the Greenland ice sheet. There we take samples of the ice sheet, which is not only made of ice, but it's made of dirt and soot from wildfires that have deposited their material on top of the ice sheet, and makes the ice sheet darker and darker, called black ice, which is very, very absorptive of radiation. Instead of having your ice sheet simply radiating out into space, it's getting warmer and you're getting CO2 released from the fact that you're getting hotter ice warming up quicker.
When a forest fire burns, it releases a huge amount of CO2 into our atmosphere. 1.3 gigatons of CO2 was recorded in August of last year, the highest on record in 1 month. It is part of a vicious cycle that's only getting worse. The UN had predicted a 57% increase in devastating wildfires by the end of the century.
When we talk about the amount of carbon dioxide which we as a human species release, it's something like 40 gigatons a year, and that's enough to really cause the global CO2 level to keep rising and give us warmer and warmer climate. So we've got to get rid of 40 gigatons a year if we want to save the world.
So that's the reason why we are racing. These are the results of qualifying 1, and you can see this is how it's set up for qualifying 2, Heat 1 and Heat 2. There are some tasty little matchups there, aren't there? Loeb Gutierrez going head-to-head with Kristoffersen, Arlen Kotelinski. Then you've got Excite Energy, Andretti United, and that Chip Ganassi racing team. Let's hear from Carlos Sainz.
Well, we followed Carlos Sainz Sr. out here to the start line. I saw you sneaking off. I thought I'd come and see what you're up to. You're checking the lines, aren't you? Of course, pole position for race 2. What are you thinking?
Well, it's not so easy decision between number 1, number 2, but yeah, it must be something between 1, 2, and 3. I think are the best.
Okay, and what exactly are you looking at here in terms of the lines? We've got multiple lines, which makes this course so challenging.
Yeah, obviously, you try to think which one will be quicker up to the first corner and try to not lose any position.
We saw quite a few issues with cars this morning as well. Obviously, a clean run for you guys and second fastest overall, just a few seconds back from RXR. It's looking good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not bad. The most important thing is to have a clean run again and you know, get through the semi-final and hopefully to the final.
Hopefully to the final. Of course, a podium last time out for you. I'm sure it'll be hoping for the same again here.
We will try our best. Of course, now it's an important, we need to go step by step. I think that's the main thing. Hopefully, you know, no mechanical issues, no incidents, and just keep clean as possible.
Of course, it's side-by-side racing next up, isn't it, in Q2? And we know you had your fair share of drama, shall we say, in Saudi Arabia alongside Nasser Al-Attiyah. Can we expect more of the same?
We will see now. Also, the dust can be important, so that is why it's so important. It's going to be difficult to overtake here, so important is to be first one there.
We'll see what happens. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So these are the championship standings after round 1 from Saudi Arabia. Rosberg X Racing with a brilliant result there on 30 points. And actually with a gap of 12 points over Acciona Sainz in P2. That's quite significant after just one event. 15 for X44, 12 for GMC Hummer EV Chip Ganassi Racing, and everybody else following on. We're going to go and meet one of our top drivers, Johan Kristoffersen.
First time I was in a race car, I don't remember, because probably I was just about born, because my father has raced since I was born, really. So more or less growing up in the service park, traveled around Europe in our family bus when my father was doing rallycross. So I was probably in the race car long before I even remember. And yeah, it's cool to have a dad to share that experience with when I finally started to drive myself. So he knows how it is to be a racing car driver. And the beginning of my career, of course, I got a lot of tips, and also running around in the service park, being a mechanic for him. Obviously, I picked up a lot of tips and tricks from other drivers that was in his team, and also from him long before I was even start driving myself. The very first time I did a shakedown on the car that I was supposed to drive that weekend was actually on a track that I've been many times with my father before. So finally I got the opportunity to get out and drive myself for a couple of laps. And we actually didn't even have the time to put a seatbelt in. That made it even extra nervous for the first time I went around the lap. But the first time I went on track competitively, actually I was the fastest on track the first free practice we had. So that's kind of a great memory in a 20-car field championship. I started with rallycross back in 2014. I did full season, so I did full world championship in rallycross. 15 with the third place, 16 with P2 in the championship. Then starting off 17, 18, winning the world championship in rallycross. Tried out some touring car racing internationally 2019 with WTCR, and then back to rallycross for 2021 and won back-to-back titles again. For last season, I think we came very well prepared, and I think me and Molly worked very well together from the start of the season, and in the end being able to win the first event and also to win the championship the first year as a team with so many new people that you meet, and in the end of the season you actually get like a family, so that was very, very cool. For season 2 to have a new teammate with Michaela, which I've known for a long time. As a defending champion, you always have a little bit of a target of your back. It's going to be tough, and there's many more teams out there which is very, very fast. So we need to focus on ourselves, and definitely our target is to fight to defend our championship from season 1. Together as a team, I think we are working well, so that will be our target, and let's see how it goes.
So this is your map for the Island X Prix Race 1. You can see the varying start lines. You've got all sorts of routes that you can take, but eventually you'll have to come back together all the way down to the Bone Shaker where the course pinches in, and that's where you're going to have to decide who's out in front and who gets round the back.
There's a few sections, aren't there, which are wide enough for a couple of cars, but the vast majority of this middle section of the track is 1.5 cars wide. It's a little wider again at the Continental Traction Challenge, but I don't know how much opportunity there is there to overtake. We've seen people use the hyperdrive Jenny, I think, in 4 different positions now on this course. Obviously, you want it in the Traction Challenge if you're looking to get those extra championship points for the fastest cumulative time in there, but we've seen it on that long straight at the finish as well, so we might see some passing towards the end.
2 lines that you can take at the ruins as well. If you're finding yourself stuck behind somebody, maybe worth just dashing out to the left or right and trying to find an alternate line there so you can get past, but the ruts await you, and then the fun of the roller coaster and a couple of little jumps as well. A slight alteration to the course from last year, but then you'll come into the switch or straight down to the finish line, and that is a lap. Of course, each car will go round twice, each driver doing 1 with a switch in the middle, and 5 cars about to go racing. We're all set up, I think. We're ready to go.
Well, race 1 of Q2 is not far away at all. We're down here in the Extreme E paddock, and of course, one of the big stories of Q1 was X44 and that right rear puncture and the damage done to it. Sebastian Loeb and Cristina Gutierrez, of course, getting the car round, but not by much. We'll come now to the back of the car to show you some of the damage that was sustained, and I've got a list of what was damaged. The right rear puncture, the seal, the quarter, the bumper, both rear dampers, bodywork brackets as well, all has had to be fixed here. It has been a race against time to get this car ready. As I say, seal, quarter, bumper, both rear dampers. I mean, it's been a big job for the mechanics between Q1 and Q2, and of course they're in race 1 as well, and up against RXR. Don't forget, these guys, of course, are fully very much top qualifiers so far, and actually they're going to have work to do to maintain that perfect record. I'm going to see if I can just sneak in here, over here, and grab a quick chat with Cristina if I can. She looks deep in a meeting, but we are going to speak to Cristina now. They've been up against it, haven't they? The work is on in this garage. How nervous has it been?
Yeah, a little bit, but we are used to prepare the race just a few minutes before. And we tried to do our best because the quali one, it was not expected the result, but at the moment we need to fight for a good position in the quali 2, so we try to do our best.
There's a lot of work to do, isn't there? I'll let you go and continue prepping. Thanks so much. Good luck. Good luck. We'll head out now. We're going to move out of this garage. I must say, it is absolutely searingly hot as well. It is so, so warm here in Sardinia. I'm not going to bang my head on that car door, but the X44 car is just about ready to go. Let's head back down now toward Andretti. It was a clean run for them, wasn't it? They didn't have any of the issues that we've seen for Veloce, Chip Ganassi, X44 and so on experience. It's been a good morning so far, fingers crossed, for Genesis Andretti United. Timmy Hansen, talk me through your Q1 and your expectations now coming into 5-car racing.
Yeah, I mean, 5-car racing is a whole different story. But yeah, Q1 was good. We finished the run, which is like we've proven so many times in this championship. I think that finishing is the most important, but it's so easy to get carried away. The pace is super high, and you, as a racing driver, you always want to go fast. That's kind of what's built into you. So taking it easy is really the hardest thing, but I think I did a measured run in Q1. It was not, you know, my favorite ever run, but I came to the finish. We were 3rd overall. Kate did it very well. A lot of sandstorm, but yeah, Q2 is going to be a whole different story, and we're racing now, so it's all about position. I think, as you saw now, dust will maybe be an issue, depending on what lines people take, so we'll see how it goes.
It's incredibly dusty, it's windy, and it's really hot. These are such tough conditions, extreme conditions, you might say.
Yeah, you could say extreme conditions, yeah. I mean, I don't think I know a rougher racetrack, a more difficult racetrack, so there's so many challenges out there, and things keep coming at you. So like bumps, corners, you know, unsettling of the car. But this car is much better now with this new suspension. I think there is a big difference, but also we're always gonna take it to the limit. So none of us has stayed on the pace of before. We've all going faster. Now we're going to the limit of the car again, the new limit of the car. And I think it's gonna be still important to be clever, to keep your head cool, and then to finish the race. But that said, we always want to win, but you know, we take the race in a steady approach.
It's all about risk versus reward, isn't it? Thank you so much, Timmy. Best of luck to you. We have got Q2, race 1 coming up very soon.
So Laura Winter down in the pit lane paddock and switch zone for us, and this is your lineup. As she said, X44 taking on Andretti United, RXR in there as well, Excite, and I don't know whether to call them the number 99, GMC Hummer, the EV team, or the Chip Ganassi Racing team.
Leduc and Price.
Sounds good to me. Need some luck.
So it's quite the lineup, isn't it, for Heat 1? I was just looking down, I was thinking, is Heat 2 any easier? But you know what, Jenny? Neither of these is going to be easy. It's odds into Heat 1 and evens into Heat 2 in terms of how they've qualified from the previous session. And that just means oh, look, there's a Santa Elena, looking glorious in the sunshine, lovely. It's going to be really close. Either of them's going to be close.
Yeah, right, let me tell you who will be in the cars. So 5 cars taking it. You know the teams already. So for X44, Cristina Gutierrez takes the start line. They've taken their pick of place and grid slot first. Then it's Rosberg X Racing with Johan Kristoffersen. He will be alongside Excite Energy Racing's Timo Scheider. Then it's Katie Munnings for Genesis Andretti and Kyle Leduc for the GMC Hummer EV team. So that is your lineup for who will be going first. Although I thought Munnings... Oh, yeah, Munnings is going first as well, so I thought she was second, but she's not.
I was just checking the same as you, but I think you're right, aren't you? It was Timmy first last time, so...
Yeah, they swap. So this means whoever's taking this quarterfinal to first race, or first lap, will be the ones that go into the final and take the final first if they qualify through to that. So this is quite key. Strategy. Who do you put in the car first? Who do you put in there second? It rotates and alternates with each race you do. So getting this choice right can be fundamental.
Absolutely, and I think it depends, doesn't it? The knockout stage is the next stage. The knockout stage is your semi-finals tomorrow in your crazy race. That's the point. It's Katie just having a little word there. Yeah, that's the point at which you absolutely need to win the start or be in the top positions, whatever it is. You work your way back. You know, is it about qualifying for the final or is it about winning the final? And each team will have different tactics according to who their drivers are and what they feel their specialist skill sets are. OK,
we've only got 4 cars down there. We've got a small delay because the Chip Ganassi Racing team are just leaving scrutineering. They're on their way to the track now. We've heard Laura talking about the things they've had to change on the car to make sure it actually gets off and away. They had a big error code last time out, so they've managed to try and sort that. So the front motor, the inverter's been changed, and the rear loom, and you can just see that is not Katie Munnings, that is Kyle Leduc on his way, or trying to get on his way, just putting his gloves on. Not the ideal preparation, is it? His adrenaline levels are going to be sky high compared to everybody else.
It's not what you want, you know, and he's probably been sitting in the car for some time, Jenny, because I imagine he's been sitting in it through scrutineering, which may well be in a tent, which will have been even hotter than it would have been outside. So yeah, Leduc will be ready to go, definitely. He's going to be fully charged up for that. I think he's got his race suit back. He has. So do you remember, Leduc's race suit appears to have arrived between Q1 and Q2. It was supposed to be stuck in Chicago, but last time out he was wearing one of Timo Scheider's race suits.
3 minutes.
And now this time he's got his proper Hummer EV one on. So there we go. Got his race suit back.
3 minutes. That is the call. You can just see them all looking very pensive. The adrenaline kicking in now because you know what's coming. How does Timo looks so relaxed.
See, just drivers vary, don't they? Same with Johan. Johan probably at 3 minutes, he'd have a kip. If there was an alarm clock in there to wake him up, 3 minutes is an opportunity for a little sleep for Johan. There's Cristina Gutierrez. She's looking pretty chilled as well. Gutierrez got fired off, if you remember, in the start not so long ago.
Attention all teams, this is race control. Stand by for the start of the Island next Prix. Qualifying round 2 is about to commence. Energize your systems and prepare to race.
Yes, do that. The Vodafone Command Centre, you can see all of the other drivers there. They're going to have a painful watch to see what their teammates are going to be able to do in the first lap. And it is warm in there too. Hate to go on about it, but...
Yeah. Craig Breen's in there as well. We mentioned that earlier on. If you weren't watching Q1, Craig Breen is in there, WRC driver. Did the track walk with Tamara Molinaro.
Lots of interesting insight, I suppose, and information to be gained and shared when you're doing those track walks. Of course, they're not allowed out there in a motorised vehicle. They have to go out there on foot.
Christine GZ was given the option, wasn't she, for a lift for some of it, but she did mention that she walked 7K on her recently broken ankle, so not ideal prep for her.
So shall we run through who is out there? Once again, from left to right, we have Kyle Leduc taking the number 99. Then it is the Andretti United car.
Okay, here we go. 1 minute.
Katie Munnings.
1 minute.
1 minute to go. Excite Energy Racing in the middle with Timo Scheider. Then on the right-hand side, it's Christopherson for Rosberg X Racing, and then Gutierrez for X44.
So there are numerous routes through this first section. They're slightly different than last year. I mentioned it just a few moments ago. Gutierrez had contact, ended up off in the trees after contact with Hansen last year. They did then make it through to the final after the stewards looked into it, but the start is absolutely crucial. RXR chose first, and they chose slot number 2, and in heat number 2, that position has been taken by the first pick team there as well. So assume that lane 2 is the one.
You reckon?
Definitely.
15
That's the
seconds.
favoured one for these guys. 15 seconds to go. X44 on the back foot. Can they hold on to their top qualifier record? I think it's a big ask. RXR only need a P3 finish in this one to be ahead of X44. It might not be enough for TQ though. Away from the line then, dust kicks up over on the right-hand side. Scheider trying to squeeze in on Christopherson. Christopherson pushing across Gutierrez. He's just got the nose in front of her. Gutierrez is right there though as they disappear behind the bushes. It is RXR who come out in front. Christopherson lead from Gutierrez. Down in the background, Munnings has gone on a completely different route. Bottom left of your screen. Watch for Katie Munnings. Gutierrez goes around in the background. There comes Munnings. Christopherson runs over the rocks. Is that Munnings that's made it through to P2? I think it might be. It is. Munnings is in front of Timo Scheider. So Andretti United using a very different right-hand line have slotted into P2. Great tactics from them off the start.
Really impressive, but look how ragged they all are, trying to find space. Excite Energy, Scheider coming out the outside of Munnings, and through on the inside it's Carla Duke, but Munnings manages to hold on to it. This is a real battle for third place. Out in the front, it is RXR getting a little bit more space, but the battle behind them furious.
Leduc managed to pass Scheider there on the brakes, so Scheider still on his right-hand side, looking behind Kyle Leduc there. Timo Scheider looking for a way through. Munnings going to have to keep the door shut. It was a great move from Kyle Leduc. He's been racing Pro 4 over in the States quite a bit recently, so he'll be used to passing other trucks on track. Has another look to the inside line of Katie Munnings. Munnings has got to try and hold on to this position. X44 at the back. Did Gutierrez have a problem with the car, or was it just a mistake? Remember, they've done loads of work on that car since Q1.
Yeah, Gutierrez getting very wide and wrapped up at the beginning, and I think just lost out on the track position at that point. But we'll hopefully see a replay of some. Oh, look, we're trying to go through, and there's been a mistake.
No.
Oh, no, not another problem for Leduc, or is it just he's lost a little bit of drive? We'll find out in just a moment, but that leaves the way open for Scheider to go through in the Excite team. This is your leader, though, Christopherson in the RXR team, followed by the Genesis Andretti United. Katie Munnings doing a fantastic job out there, and right behind it's Timo Scheider, the championship driver who's stepped up this weekend, and he is trying to hunt down Munnings.
Katie Munnings with that alternate line. I'd love to see it from the drone, Jenny. We might have some alternate shots in the replays we'll be able to see. No! Kyle Leduc sitting in the car, stationary again. They cannot get a break. There's 2 events here this week. You know, maybe we'll see a change in their luck. Meanwhile, out front, no change in performance for these guys. Christopherson leads at the minute with RXR. There's that double bump exit to the Continental Traction Challenge. 6.6 seconds back to Munnings. And Scheider around 3 seconds back as Munnings gets sideways on the exit, just holds on. She just missed that waypoint flag.
Yeah, she was very lucky not to clip it, but get right through that gap, and that was, I think, a little bit of luck there, and the speed and momentum taking or trying to take her away. So you can see the gap between RXR and then Munnings, 8.88 seconds before that gap, just growing, and you can see Scheider just all over the back of Munnings, trying to find a way around. It won't be through here. This is single file.
Gutierrez is around 7 seconds off the back of these two. You did just see her very briefly. We've now got a very fast section. Here comes Gutierrez for X44. The bodywork on the back of that car, they haven't even had time to put the decals on it. If you remember, that was ripped off by load puncture. Now Scheider looking for a bypass. Munnings in his sights around the outside. Scheider trying for the long way, but Munnings is on the short route on the inside. She holds on as the rear of the Excite Energy machine kicks up. No pass this time.
This is Scheider's first time out racing in this season. He's done so much practice, but he's never gone out there in anger and tried to get past a car. And Munnings is doing a fantastic job of just holding off, making that Odyssey 21 so wide. Is this an opportunity for Scheider? He's trying to find a way around. He does find a way. On the outside, he goes through and he overtakes Munnings. Can Munnings come back? That's the question.
Brilliant move by Scheider. I didn't think there'd be enough room. That's one of the places we actually said there won't be enough room through there, and Scheider's made it stick. So Munnings would be annoyed about that because Timo's just lit the throttle up, got alongside her and just gone past. But as long as she stays with him, Jenny, that's all really that Timmy Hansen needs. Although RXR are 12.3 seconds up the road already. At the minute, X44 definitely won't be taking the TQ this time round. And into the switch zone come those top 4 cars.
Oof, that was breathless, wasn't it? Amazing action. Once again, Leduc and Price not having any of the luck. And it's Christopherson who's going to come in and hand over to Arlen Kotelinski. You saw her there just waiting.
Now, Leduc's not showing up on any of our sector times on timing, so this is your virtual map, and the bottom right of your screen, you might be able to see in the distance somewhere where they're parked out on track, so it's very disappointing for them. More tech issues. Christopherson telling Michaela a few things in Swedish.
Not helpful for us, but there we go.
What's happens if you know?
If you are listening in Sweden, yeah, absolutely. Hashtag Extreme, just saying there will be a yellow flag slow zone where the Chip Ganassi Racing team are. So we're trying to limit red flags, so a yellow flag slow zone where that car is, which I think by looking at it was just after somewhere waypoint 3, maybe 3, 4.
Yeah, it's before the Continental Traction Challenge. We know that, but it's after the first left-hander. So
yeah, turn the waypoint 3, I think. So I think between 3 and 4, that will be a go slow, which is one of the pinch points. And you can see there already out and about. It is the first of our cars. It's Rosberg X Racing with Arlen Kotelinski.
So we should explain to you as well how that go slow zone will work. So as the drivers get to it, this is new for this event, their dashboard will light up yellow and they'll need to use the switch zone limiter to drive through that zone slowly. So they can go flat out until they get to it. It will light up yellow on their dash. At that point, they go slowly, and when they reach the next waypoint, the dash will change colour to green, and they can go flat out again. Brilliant idea, and it means we have less race stoppages, which is what we all want.
And we're racing again here. It is the second lap, the second driver taking over. So what will we see now? It's Arlen Kotelinski for RXR, Molinaro taking over from Scheider for the Excite team, and Hansen in the car for the Andretti United team. It's a battle between them. X44 a little bit further back, but can Loeb find something and try and fight back?
Waypoint 7 to waypoint 9 is a yellow go slow zone, so we might, if we're lucky, get an onboard and see the dash, but it depends where those cameras are. Look through the left-hander here. Timmy Hansen on the chase for Molinaro. He's going to know, isn't he, that once he gets to waypoint 7, he's just got to sit tight. Look at the dust as well, Jenny. That's not going to make it any easier for him.
Yeah, pretty blindsided there at some point, so you want to try and stay out of the tracks of the car in front, and you can just see there X44 closing. Loeb is on an absolute hooter, closing all the time.
Loeb only 3 seconds off the back of Hansen at the minute. I think that's waypoint 5 they've gone past. They should have one more that they go past flat out. Loeb's going to try and get to the back of this. If RXR win this, of course, it'll come down to the other session as well as to who gets the fastest time. Now we're in the go-slow zone. So you can't quite see the dash, but it's lit up yellow, and they're basically on their pit limiters through here, and Loeb's there. He's got to the back of them. He's braked late into that section, and he will hold on to the back of these. Obviously, through here, they're going to drive through the 2 sectors. There's number 8.
Important to remember, this is in the Continental Traction Challenge Zone, so you can see them going past the car now. They'll have to get to 9.
One of them gunned it, Jenny. I heard one of them. You heard the throttle come up. We were on board, and one of them gunned it.
Oh, Loeb's looking for an alternate route round to just see, what can I do here? Can I get round? He's trying to overtake.
If he's gone on the throttle, if he's come off the pit limiter and gone on the throttle in that yellow flag zone, they will get a penalty for that. We were on board with it, and you heard the revs go up. So I think he did it as he passed waypoint 8. I think he thought that was the point at which it was coming off. You can see now that they're clear of it. Arlen Kotlinski flat out, and now you're on board. Hyperdrive from Arlen Kotlinski. Was it also from Loeb? Loeb's managed to get past Hansen, but are they going to get a penalty?
Interesting to see what race control will do. We will find out shortly if there's been an infringement, but Loeb managing to get past the Andretti United team, and I just wonder if they've got a little bit of a technical gremlin in there, because it seemed to be slowing for them. Now they've picked up the pace again, but it has left the door wide open for X44. And they will try and hunt down now the Excite team of Tamara Molinaro, and then see what they can do about the lead that has come out for the RXR team and Arlen Kotlinski.
The look on Molinaro's face, Jenny, she is in full concentration mode. She really is, giving it absolutely everything. This will be a great result for Excite. See them up towards the top of the table in Q2.
Something definitely not quite right with that Andretti United team. They're using their hyperdrive now, but it just doesn't look like the car is performing at its top speed for some reason. However, this is the battle for 3rd and 2nd. You can see Loeb coming round is going to be all over Molinaro very, very shortly. That's Hansen in the car. It looks like an absolute handful. Can anyone close down the gap to Rosberg X Racing and Excite Energy? Molinaro using a hyperdrive to defend now. Alternate line being used by Loeb. He's trying something else, going high. Taking the inside line, trying to find a way past Molinaro. Not quite there, but at the next waypoint, I fear it's going to be game on.
Up the inside, Sebastian Loeb gets it done on the brakes. Molinaro did well, but he set that up, didn't he, from a long, long way back. Now we're seeing hyperdrive from Loeb in the X44 machine, and he's gapping Molinaro big time on the run down towards the finish. Brilliant job.
Car 44 under investigation, overtaking under yellow. Good spot by you, Coley. Very good spot. So it is RXR. They come down to the line. The finish line awaits them. They have a big lead, almost 10 seconds over them. Arlen Kotlinski will make it through the line first. What a display of dominance for the RXR team. They come in here with a substantial lead over everybody else, and now they have another substantial lead. But what will it be for X44? Is a penalty on the way, and the Excite Energy Racing team doing a fantastic job coming in 3rd place. What a race.
First ever top qualifier spot for Rosberg X Racing. They'll get 10 points for the win in this race, and of course they got 10 points for the win in the previous session, so that's a maximum for them. And for the first time ever, despite a brilliant fight back there, X44 will not be the top qualifiers here in Sardinia.
Wow. Just take a breath, appreciate it all. Andretti United did come across the line in the end. They were over 15 seconds behind. We'll find out and hear if they had some sort of problem, but the problem was clear for the GMC Hummer EV Chip Ganassi Racing team. And look at that smile on Arlen Kotlinski. Really shining now, isn't she, for that Rosberg X Racing team?
Yeah, she is. For me, last year, she had a couple of brilliant results racing over in America. Went over there, did a great job, and just suddenly seemed to pick up in confidence. You remember she was on fire when she raced in the UK. Sideways, she had a hell of a moment, didn't she, in the UK down in Dorset? A really sideways moment, then got picked up by RXR. They won the first round in Saudi Arabia, and Michaela, just to me, it suddenly believes that she can do it, and that makes a huge difference. So much of a driver's speed is in their head, and she's doing a great job here with Johan.
Yeah, really is. And I wonder how much of that is Johann's good influence on her and how much is just her personal development. We'll never know the answer to that, but I think it's a great combination.
I think it's interesting that Johann and Molly was such a dominant force, and now you've got Johann and Michaela a dominant force as well. You know, if you were looking to sign for a team and someone was saying Johann's going to be your teammate, I think you'd be thinking, OK, I reckon we can make this work. They've made it work twice already. Yeah, impressive.
Really impressive. Fun first race. We've got another one on the way. And this will shake out the order for tomorrow's semi-finals. Remember, there will be 3 cars going into semi-final 1, 3 into semi-final 2, and then the crazy race.
So this is what's under investigation. So look at this, yeah? That's where we were riding on board with Loeb. I actually think, for me, it isn't so much the overtaking, because he doesn't pass.
I think
it was
before.
the fact that we heard the revs go up, and when we were on board with him, Jenny, it was, you heard that, the super high whine. He doesn't start in front, does he? I'm sure he stays where he was.
We've now got car 23 under investigation as well for speeding under yellow.
So what, okay,
let's see if it was them that was speeding. Yes. Let's find out from the man himself. It is Sebastian Loeb down in the paddock area.
Well, Seb, you're flying around the course, but you are under investigation for overtaking under yellow flag conditions. Do you feel you did overtake? Are you aware of that?
I know what I did. It was under the yellow flag. I was behind Timmy. Then suddenly he slowed down. I went next to him, but like this, not ahead. And on the flag where the yellow was finished, I accelerated faster than him and I passed.
So for you, you think you put the throttle down as the yellow flag condition finished?
Yeah.
That's your line. All right. We'll have to wait and see if you get through to semi-final.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Seb.
There you go, Loeb. Yeah, to be fair to Loeb, we don't know where the audio was from, do we, at the time we were riding on board. We think, I can't remember whether it was Loeb or with Munnings, was it?
I think it was Hansen that we were on board with. So
yes,
I'm just trying to work out the speeding under speeding. Oh, no further action after investigation for car 44. They keep the second place slot. That is so important for them. Still waiting for race control to tell us about car number 23. I think that was the acceleration you heard. But I tell you what, let's go down because we're going to get an interview with Timmy Hansen, who can hopefully give us a bit more information on what happened with that Andretti United car.
Well, much discussion down here with Genesis Andretti United. I'm just going to quite rudely interrupt, but bring in Katie and Timmy. Timmy, no further action taken for X44. Do you feel that Sebastian Loeb overtook you?
Yeah, I was exiting, you know, my pit speed limiter right on the limit. So yeah, he had way more speed than me, exiting the slow zone. So it's a big surprise.
Rule, you know, it's a clear rule. You can't overtake in a yellow. Everyone knows that. So I don't know how that.
I think Seb has said that he believed he overtook as the yellow flag finished.
No, it was like 10 seconds. You could see it on the video.
No further action is the decision that's been made.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, guys. Hard luck.
Katie could not control herself there. She cannot believe what she's hearing. They did a really good job out there, and unfortunately for them,
there you go. So Timmy said maybe he was looking at the dash and I was looking at the waypoint flag. So remember, the dashboard lights up to tell the driver when they can go. That's actually Loeb's pass on Molinaro. So the dashboard, Timmy is suggesting maybe Sebastian saw the dash light up earlier and went.
Yeah, that's frustrating, isn't it?
He did say he'd wait till everybody got through it.
Well, you can hear the team discussing it. They're not happy, but the stewards have made their decision. And actually, if there's...
So, we've been to Sardinia before, and I want to remind you what it was like because it was thrilling again. This is what happened last time out in Sardinia, in Extreme E.
The unique course for the Island X Prix produced some memorable racing during the championship's first visit to Sardinia in Season 1. With various lanes to choose from off the start and a tricky water section, the action was more unpredictable than ever. Semi-final 1 saw championship contenders Andretti United and X44 collide, resulting in terminal damage to both cars.
looks like there's damage to the Andretti United car as well, so they're just going to have to drag this round if they can at all.
This left Chip Ganassi Racing to cruise to victory, while X44 also progressed by virtue of a penalty for Andretti United. After a steering failure for Accionis Sainz, Rosberg X Racing and Abt Cupra advanced from semi-final 2. With one place remaining in the final, Kevin Hansen got the jump on Veloce and Excite Energy to take the lead in the crazy race. Christine GZ crashed out while battling with Stefan Zarazin before he himself had a huge moment.
Oh! Zarazan's rolled! It's one of the biggest accidents of the season!
He walked away, but it was JBXE through to the main event. The 5-car final saw Chip Ganassi Racing lining up in their first showpiece alongside JBXE, X44, RXR and Abt Cupra to decide who would lift the Island X trophy.
We are off. Oh, it's a stall start for the Abt Cupra team. They're going nowhere. X44 out to the left. Is there going to be contact? Yes, a bit of contact there before JBXE and RXR. But if you just look through, Leduc and Price have gone, and they have gone fast. A very different line. They need to cut back to the left to go through the waypoint.
With Carl Leduc pulling away from the rest of the field, Sebastian Loeb was pushing hard to catch the American. But yet again, luck just wasn't on X44's side.
Loeb's steering is broken. X44 are out in the championship fight. 4 top qualifiers.
Leduc was flying and handed over to Sarah Price with a 45-second lead. But just like X44, they suffered the wrath of the Island X Prix course.
No! Segi TV Chip Ganassi Racing, the steering is broken. This is unbelievable.
With others falling by the wayside, RXR inherited the lead and took the race win comfortably.
Chris Dobson and Taylor take their 3rd win of the year and with it a commanding lead in this Extreme E Championship.
Abt Cupra came home 2nd for their first podium. RXR's 3rd win of the year gave them an almost unassailable lead at the top of the standings heading into the final race of Season 1. Will anyone be able to topple the current champions in Season 2?
So this is the first race we've just had. This was the start, which was so defining, especially for X44. Just have a look. This is the onboard, and you can see a little bit of what happened. Just got caught up, found themselves a bit of a bushel, and ended up at the back of that queue of traffic.
I was most impressed, to be honest, by Katie Mulling's alternate line. She looked like she'd headed off miles off course compared to everybody else and slots in P2. Now, that might have been helped a little by Christine GZ having that moment of running a bit wide. That was Kyle Leduc pulling off to the side of the road. Gutted. How many times have we said unbelievable in relation to that team?
Yeah, it does seem to be a stock response, doesn't it? This was the Continental Traction Challenge marker to start it all off with. I don't think anybody improved. We'll find out for you, but this was fabulous racing, just fabulous.
That was the pass there, Scheider on Munnings. Munnings got a little bit sideways on the run into that section. She was unlucky not to hold on to that. I actually feel like, to be honest, that Genesis Andretti United were pretty unlucky to drop from where they did to the back of the pack. That's the point where Loeb caught up. Now, he said that Timmy had gone slowly. We felt that we'd heard the revs rise in one of the cars. At the minute, Andretti United are under investigation for that.
Yeah, still nothing to be able to clarify for you. They got re-racing. This is the move from Loeb. Look at him coming through on Molinaro. Up the inside, forces her to go a little bit wider than she probably would have liked to. And there he manages to take that 2nd place under investigation, but now cleared. And you heard from him a little earlier on. 2nd place behind the RXR team.
We're going to catch up with Christine GZ, who is back this weekend after her injury last time out.
Christine GZ is back on her feet following a devastating crash in Saudi Arabia that threw the future of her racing career into doubt.
I guess that everyone saw the video, and I don't need to explain exactly, but I feel that, you know, I watched it so many times and I kept watching it and watching it over and see what was my mistake and try to understand what I've done wrong. I was trying to keep fastest time. I heard the team telling me fastest on track.
Christine GZ goes fastest, so Veloce quickest so far.
So I was really excited. I just kind of kept my foot down. I didn't really think too much. But yeah, I just came down the hill, and in my head, I just really wanted to do the correct line. Like, I didn't want to lose time, you know?
Are you okay? Are you okay?
I'm so sorry. I felt that I hit something with my feet. You know, there was a lot of space in the pedal here, but I didn't think that anything happened. And then when I tried getting out of the car, I felt that my foot was stuck. And the medical guys actually are super amazing, and it was super fast. But as soon as they took me out of the car and they just dropped me on the floor, my foot was like, you know, I touched it and I was like, ow, like I can feel it. And I was like, this is not normal. And I knew that something was on. When we got to hospital, they told us that it was a fracture, and all I could say was like, I can race, I'm fine. And the doctor was like, not possible, not possible. And I'm like, no, I'm fine, this is okay, I have another foot, you know? And when we got to Europe and I went to our doctor and it took him 1 second to say, Christine, this is gonna be long. And I was like, what do you mean? It's just a fracture, you know? And he was like, no, you have 2 ligaments also, like the ankle and the talon. I am 100% sure that less than 4 months, you're not gonna be able to walk. The next day I kind of woke up and I went to the hospital and I said, okay, we're doing this in 2 months. And he's like, okay, let's see what you can do. So I went to the physio and we had surgery the same day that I arrived. After 1 week I was at rehab with my crutches and the foot completely in the cast. From there on, it was 6 hours a day, every day pretty much. It was a hell of a ride, but I'm so happy because right now it's 2 months and you know, I'm walking and I knew that I would do it. So. I'm a very much believer of that some things happen for a reason, right? Just take the good of it and take all the positive and try to, you know, transform it in even something better. So I think that maybe you have so much time to think that you suddenly realize, God, I really love this.
Well, another car who had difficulty this morning, of course, the Veloce. And you can see here, of course, the front right suspension was the issue. And we now have a wheel on. I've been told by this mechanic here that it was about 5 out of 10 stress. And part of that was the temperature that we're seeing here and the conditions in the garage. But Lance, of course, bitterly disappointing in Q1 that there was an issue with the car. It has been fixed. It looks ready to go, and you've got damage limitation now.
Yeah, I think we got to try and maximize our position and points in the second quali. But the cars look good. The guys have done a great job. Yeah, it turned out to be a hole that bent the top arm, which then led to a whole lot of problems thereafter. But yeah, the guys have done a great job and we're ready to go.
I mean, Christine didn't even get a chance to get in the car, did she, to test out, of course, how her ankle is feeling. How is she looking forward to getting out there and racing in anger after so long, of course, coming back from injury?
I think she's a bit nervous. She's got the worst start position against, 4 other very strong teams. But her mind's right, which I was saying earlier is, the most important part in motorsports. So I think she'll be good.
Great stuff. Well, best of luck to you guys. There you go. As you can see, the front right suspension fixed, sorted on this car and the Veloce. Much like the X44, they're all ready to go. So the damage that we saw earlier on is all good. We're going to just push through and head up toward the App Cupra garage. No such issues for them this morning. 4th overall. Jutta saying she took it a little too easy, but so much of this course, the tough, hard terrain, is about the balance, isn't it, between risk, reward, between speed, pace, but not too much, and ultimately not binning the car, as we have seen issues with Veloce, X44, and of course the Hummer EV Chip Ganassi as well. App Cupra here, Jutta Kleinschmidt and Nasser Al-Attiyah. We've got Nasser, who's just popped out the garage. Nasser, hello. No issues so far for you.
No.
It's looking good. How does your run feel this morning, and how are you looking forward to some multi-car racing?
Yeah, I think morning it was a really good job we did, me and Jutta, and just we saved the car, our car, and now it will be, the real race start, 5 car, and we are looking, to have a good result for this race.
4th fastest overall, of course, that means 2nd fastest within your race. Yeah. Talk to me about the lines off the start, because there are multiple ones you can take, but which do you think is the quickest?
I think the quickest is 2nd and 3rd, This will be right position, for start, but we'll see if you did a good job from the start, and let everybody behind you. This will be also the key of the the right position for the lap.
I saw your good friend Carlos Sainz Sr. up at the start line checking out the lines.
Yeah.
He agrees with you. It's second or third position is best. Are you looking forward to racing him again?
Yes, actually, Carlos has a lot of respect, with him. He's a good friend, and yeah, it will be not easy, but okay. I think I will love to meet him in the final,
We'll see. I think we'd all love to see that, wouldn't we? Thank you very much, Nasser. Appreciate it. Well, there we go. Carlos Sainz versus Nasser Al-Attiyah. It's going to be good, isn't it? Here we go. Race 2.
Oh, yeah. The garage match is on and very much back. You can just see there. Carlos Sainz, nice and cool and calm and collected. Probably anything but cool, but collected and calm. So that's fine. He will take the car first and hand over to Leia Sanz, and then it'll be the McLaren of Tanner Faust, Emma Gilmore, second driver. For Abt, Ij Kleinschmidt, followed by Al-Attiyah. So they're not actually going head-to-head, are they? Oh, no, they are.
Are they? I'm trying to look at my start list and see. So Carlos is in the car now, and you're saying that Kleinschmidt will be in the car first. Let's have a look and see which way round they were last time. Yeah, Nasser went first last time, so it's you to first this time.
Should be. Let's see what actually happens when we're on the start line. By my reckoning, it should be Hedda Hossas in at JBXE, waiting for those cars to come onto the start line. And then Christine GZ not getting any running, but she'll be followed by Lance Woolridge. And I have to say that story of GZ,
brilliant.
The little film that we played, what a trooper she is. I've been impressed. I listened to her podcast that she did with the official Extreme E podcast, and it was a thing of beauty. I was so enthused by her energy and positivity. If you get a chance to subscribe, download, have a listen to the podcast, it's good stuff. As we see Tanner Faust just getting ready. But yeah, Christine is made of amazing stuff.
Yeah, she is. It was lovely to see her all smiles, wasn't it? And how much she loved it, how much she wanted to get back to it.
Quite emotional.
Yeah, definitely. Really cool. I love the fact she's gone in and said, we're doing this in 2 months. You know, that's quite a challenge when you go to a medical expert and go, I know you said 4, but no. And then to have actually pulled it off, it's all very well to say that, but to pull it off is impressive.
She is a force of nature, and you can see her there in the car. A great signing for Veloce, and she will slot herself into place. She's got the outside line, though, which isn't the ideal line. She will have to work out if she's going to go wide, what she's going to do, if she's going to take a leaf out of anybody else's book, because she'll have watched the first race and seen what worked for people.
Don't forget Katie Munning started from slot number 4, so yes, they're in slot number 5. That's not, it's not the same, but if they were to beat McLaren off the, no, not McLaren, who's it? Yes, no, where's McLaren on the grid?
They are starting far left.
Far left from it.
So
yes,
it's
they're
McLaren
on the
far
inside.
left with
It's
Faust.
JBXE who are inside them. So JBXE alongside us. You see Jutta Kleinschmidt pull up. They'll be in that middle slot. So the Acciona Sainz squad, Jenny, have chosen the same start position that RXR chose. Now, RXR got the whole shot last time. If you remember, it's quite an even start, actually, between them. Scheider on the outside and Gutierrez on the other side. And they made it work. So if Sainz if they've made that position choice as well, I would suggest that's the one that everybody wants, but you've still got to get a good start.
Did you see in the last race, we saw the Excite team squeezing, and Andretti United did it last year. They squeezed to the left. They were in that middle position, squeezed to the left, and used some real force to exert pressure on the other teams and try and get into that gap first.
I'd say that Scheider's squeeze was slightly less aggressive than Hanson's one was last year. But if you remember, Timmy was pretty apologetic about it last year, wasn't he? He's just like, look, that wasn't the way. I thought they'd see me coming. They didn't, and I thought I was in front. We want to see people race. So good on Timmy for trying it. Yeah, I'm up for seeing people try it again. Go on, go for it. Get in Sainz's lane. Get in Sainz's lane. Get all up in his grill.
Yeah, I knew you were going to go there. Get in his grill. So it's McLaren versus Sainz versus Abt.
3 minutes.
3 minutes, says Scott Elkin, versus JBXE versus Veloce. All 5 cars now taken to the start line, and as you heard, 3 minutes to go.
Sainz in full chill mode. Not for much longer. Amazing to see how these different drivers cope with the build-up to the race.
Attention all teams, this is race control. Stand by for the start of the Island X Prix. Qualifying round 2 is about to commence. Energize your systems and prepare to race.
Let's do this. Systems energized. You can see there the other halves, the other teammates are all there in the Vodafone command center. They will be watching on, reading the data, and at the appropriate point will rush out into that switch zone to take control of the race. So we do have another investigation for car 44. Gaining an advantage will be investigated after qualifying to Heat 2. So just to keep you aware of an ongoing situation, that is the car of Lewis Hamilton, the X44 team. Lewis not here this weekend, he's got other things to do.
Yeah, we need to get Lewis in the car, don't we, at some point? I mean, you know, even Lewis isn't going to want to try and replace Sebastian Loeb. You know, men of so many FIA World Championships, but in such different disciplines. But I thought Lewis was going to win at the weekend.
Okay, 1 minute.
Not the Grand Prix, I know, but I really did.
It was a great Grand Prix, let me put it that way. It was like watching a fireworks display with the oohs and ahs coming out from the audience. Brilliant. And this should be equally brilliant. Just look at the talent we have lining up for you.
This is where the tension really starts to build for the drivers. You see the marshal walk across the front, holding up the 1 minute board. That's the point at which you're now starting just to get your final radio messages. Dial in those settings. Look, Utah's got a thumb on the dash and they're ready to go.
They certainly are. So tension builds as we see and wait for that green light.
30 seconds, 30 seconds.
30 seconds to go. Already in the middle, you've got the Abt team with their windscreen wipers going. Everybody else just waiting, pausing, taking a breath. So Faust versus Sainz versus Kleinschmidt versus Hossas versus GZ.
15 seconds.
15 seconds to go. Eyes to the left, eyes to the right, waiting for that green flag to come up, the light, and then pick your lane, stick to it. We have a green flag. It's a slow start for JBXC and a little bit of a crash there going into Veloce, but on the left-hand side you can see it's Sainz versus McLaren versus Abt, the three of them taking the same line. This will be fascinating to see a really good shot of that. It's Sainz taking the line, but the alternate it's Veloce leading the way. So Sainz getting a little bit of air. We've got another split back there with Abt going wide through marker 2. The rejoin will be fascinating at the moment. It's Sainz out in front, but what's happening to the right of them? You can see there the Veloce car speeding along, and then behind them it's the orange flashed car as well of the McLaren team. So the McLaren team trying to get past Veloce, and you can see there Sainz first in, followed by McLaren, followed by Veloce. That's your top three.
Veloce did a brilliant job there, coming in from right out on the outside. GZ was on that alternate line, the same one Munnings was on. She got into P2, but then Faust took an alternate line in the McLaren and managed to get back past. So good job to get himself back up into P2, but Carlos Sainz out front. That number 2 grid slot seems to be the one, Jenny.
Yeah, it was a nice piece of driving from the start. You can see the cars slipping around waypoint 6, just trying to gain some traction. And a clear 1, 2, 3, 4, pretty evenly split between them at the moment.
I was looking to see where Kleinschmidt was in the background. Kleinschmidt was right in the mix, wasn't she, with Faust and Sainz, and then something went wrong in a similar fashion to Gutierrez in the first run. Yeah, was it just a bit wide, caught a bump wrong where it's not wide enough for all the cars? She ended up off track to the side.
Yeah, it wasn't the ideal start for them in the end, because, as you said, it was feisty to begin with. But here we go. The hunt is on for Faust, trying to close down the gap between him and Carlos Sainz as they come up to the Continental Traction Challenge Zone. This is the bit where they can get themselves an extra 5 points if they and their teammate can get the fastest combined time across the event.
I love the onboard. When you see the split onboard and you see everybody working so hard at the wheels of these Odyssey 21s, the big shock upgrade has meant maximum attack. Onboard top left, Carlos Sainz. Look at him through this narrow section towards the end of the Continental Traction Challenge. He's being chased by Tanner. Faust top right. You can see there the dust kicking up in the distance for Faust. He'll know roughly what the gap is just from that. 4.0 it is at the moment between them. Needs to get as close as he can. Remember, they're going to come into the switch zone and swap drivers in the middle of this run. They've managed to gap GZ in the Veloce car by around 7 or 8 seconds now.
Yeah, sector 2 times just coming in. Faust closed down by 3 seconds. No, that's not right. Closed down by the tiniest of margins in the end when it shuffled out to Carlos Sainz. Fascinating battle there, and that being the Continental Traction Zone. None of them going faster than our current fastest time with Loeb of 34.102.
So GZ's not under much pressure from behind. Header Hosas is not close enough to apply pressure to her. So this really is Carlos Sainz versus Faust, and it's about them coming in and trying to give their drivers as much of an advantage as they can before the swap over. Remember, you're going to be getting Lance Woolridge and Kevin Hansen in. Do you remember Kevin Hansen chasing down the cars? Was it Greenland last year? I think in one of the races, coming from miles back and really attacking. It's always nice to chase. When you're chased, you're never quite sure how far back they are, but when you're chasing the car down, even if you can just see a roost trail in the distance, you can get after it, and I'm looking forward to seeing people try and do that.
Faust had a tough time last time in Saudi Arabia, his debut in this fantastic Extreme E Championship. Didn't have the greatest run earlier on today. They had a front right suspension problem, so they're way down in the classification points when it comes to qualifying. So a good result here will boost them right up and give them a better chance when it comes to their semi-finals.
Coming down to the braking zone now. Carlos Sainz is sideways on the brakes. We didn't see what happened to him. He was really sideways. Just held on. In comes Tanner Faust behind. The gap was 5.94, but I wonder if that would have brought it down just a little bit.
Wonder if it was trying to just scrub off so much speed that it just wiggled a bit too much.
He was at 90 degrees to the road. You know when you just think, oh my goodness, is that going to go over? But it didn't.
It's a bit of a wake-up call, isn't it, as Leia looks on, the dust kicking up and wafting across the paddock area. So they'll pull into their switch zone. Each car has a dedicated switch zone. There's switch zone 2, and you can see McLaren will slot in, I think, just behind them in switch zone 1, which will be fascinating to see because we know the switch is not a favoured part of this whole experience for this team. McLaren might prefer it.
Carlos just shouted something back at Leia, and then has disappeared off and left the engineer to do up the belt. So it's a 6-second gap between Acciona Sainz and NEOM McLaren Extreme E. You then got 12 seconds back from McLaren to Veloce Racing, and a further 6 seconds back from Veloce to JBXE, with Cooper just 4 seconds off the back of them. So a bit of a job on here for Veloce and JBXE if they want to close down that gap to the top 2. And obviously, you're going to see Laia Sands going at it with Emma Gilmore out front as well. They'll be trying to hold on to those positions.
Yeah, that'll be a fascinating contest to see which of them can pip each other to the post. You can just see both moving now. As you'd expect, maybe Laia Sands just getting out a little bit ahead of Emma Gilmore. But when they actually deploy their accelerator and get to full racing speed, what can Gilmore do? Can she close this gap down?
GZ, look. Sorry, that's Lance has pulled out. What's happened there? Look, they've either McLaren were extremely slow, or Veloce, they can't have made up 12 seconds, Jenny, because they have to stop for the same amount of time. So either Veloce have let that car go early, or McLaren was long. And I don't think McLaren were long because Sainz went out at the exact same gap I expected them to go out at. The gap was 5.8, it's now 5.5. I think Veloce have released that car early, but we'll see. What do you think?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think there's no way that it could have closed up that much speed without some sort of miracle. The miracle might have been that they misread their clock. Let's see what happened. Maybe they let them out 40 rather than 45. I can't work it out, but we will find out. And if race control put that under investigation, well, no. But that'll disturb Gilmore a little bit more. Psychologically, she was expecting to be battling with Laia Sands, and all of a sudden, she's got Lance Woolridge in front of her. She must be wondering what on earth has just happened, because she will have known the gap behind her as well.
But the other thing is, Woolridge, to me, he overtook her in the pit lane speed limit area, which means he may well be done for speeding as well. We can't switch zone, overspeeding, car 5, but I think it could be early release as well as speeding. I'm just trying to figure out if they've looked at the rules and gone, you know what, we can take the penalty and it's better for position, but I don't think they can. So no. Veloce are going to get a big penalty here, I'm pretty sure of that.
It will be a penalty plus time gained and advantage gained, so it will be a very hefty penalty if that is indeed what they have done. We'll wait and see what race control do, but you can just see Gilmore there battling, trying to close the gap. Over rotation on the back end, she's lost a bit of the gap there that she was trying to close down, and Woolridge just speeds away a little bit more now.
I feel a bit for Emma here, because she's now sitting in the dust of a car that's kind of irrelevant to her in terms of the competition. Look at the difference in visibility. It's just really hard to see where you're headed. You were on board there with Gilmore for just a moment. That's Lance Woolridge going through the water splash at the start of the Continental Traction Challenge. If I were McLaren, I'd be on the radio to Emma saying, you know, don't worry about the Veloce, it's irrelevant. But look at the dust in the distance.
Yeah, the problem is it's not irrelevant to her drive, is it? It's irrelevant in the points, it's irrelevant in the game, but unfortunately the game has changed in a very significant way. and that is really disappointing. They should manage to reclaim second, in fairness, but this was going to be a fight about first for them, and now there's nothing Gilmore can do. She can't get back to Sainz and Sands, but great performance from Laia Sands. She's found some real confidence when it comes to this competition.
I mean, to be fair, I feel a bit for Woolridge. He wasn't very well yesterday. He missed one of the free practice sessions yesterday, so he's obviously, you know, something in that team has gone awry in terms of organisation, and they've missed something. But he's flying, chasing the gap down. You know, you might as well. You kind of think now, go for it, Lance. Get yourself as far out in front as you can, because you're going to get a whacking great penalty at the end of it, as we see Acciona Sainz activating the hyperdrive.
Veloce have gone as well with their hyperdrive. There we go. We can also see the NEOM McLaren using their hyperdrive. Just a matter of time, I would expect, before JBXC do it. So they are all centralising on one point where they think it's good. Oh, a little bit out of shape there for Veloce. Woolridge hunting down, just going for it, isn't he? Giving it absolutely all he can.
Acciona Sainz then with Laia Sands out the wheel, coming down over those final crests. It's been a great lap, because regardless of Lance making the mistake in the changeover zone, we know he's super quick, and he's been attacking, trying to close that gap down, and he hasn't got back to Laia Sands. So this is a brilliant performance by Acciona Sainz, and he's going to see them confirmed as P2 in qualifying as well, because they were second after Q1, and they're about to take a maximum point here for a win in Heat 2. Brilliant drive by Sainz and Sands, and they're looking very much a threat this weekend, down towards the finish line with a Santa Elena in the background. Whereabouts of Veloce? Oh, McLaren coming under threat here. So Gilmore is coming under threat from Kevin Hansen on the run to the finish line. She should just about hold on. She does. Ahead of them, Veloce, of course, but we're expecting Woolridge to get a hefty penalty from that switch zone infringement.
Whew. That was good stuff. App Cooper losing out at the beginning, unfortunately, 17 seconds behind the pace. And Hossas with a mountain to climb. She needs a bit more experience for JBXC, 10 seconds behind. Let's just show you what happened with the infringement. So car number 5, this is the Veloce team coming out of the switch zone, and there they are, and all of a sudden going quite fast, in fairness, probably a little too fast, 30 kilometers an hour, and then overtaking before even the start of the zone where you can apply full throttle. So it is under investigation.
I'm still convinced it was an early release as well, because we saw that the front two cars, the Acciona Sainz and the NEOM McLaren Extreme E car, left around 6 seconds apart, which was the gap between them. And Veloce came in 12 seconds further back from that. So Lance has left, you know, not that long behind, and then overtaken. I feel for him, but yeah, mistake.
He's coming in and bringing the car in, and he must just be going, oh dear, something's not gone.
Did they see it? I wonder if I got away with it.
Can I get away with this? I don't know.
You just keep quiet, don't say anything. Mate, it was like that when I found it.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if they'll have words outside, or if they'll just have a little conversation. Emma Gilmore clearly bringing that NEOM McLaren in and feeling a little deflated, I would imagine, and then coming under attack right at the end from Kevin Hansen for JBXC. It wasn't the race that it should have been. Let's take you back and have a little look then. This was Heat 2 qualifying to here at the NEOM Island X Prix in Sardinia, just being told to slow down, calm down. I think I need to be told that every now and then. Slow down, calm down.
So this was Sainz off the line with your front and rear onboard shots. He's looking back, so Faust is on his left-hand side. Faust gives up the position at the funnel. That was a good move. In the background, what happens to Yuta? I think Yuta's caught in the dust, because then the dust storm behind Sainz, look, is pretty impressive. Yeah, there she is, off course, far right-hand side, where Tanner could just see enough for the kink right. She couldn't, and she ended up going straight on.
Yeah, taking a very costly sort of diversion, I suppose. And then that's where you can see the rejoin for the NEOM McLaren team. They come back in, they find another line going slightly different ways, just trying to clear that dust ball and find a loop round. Right, let's go back down to the paddock. Laura Winter.
Well, Lance, you are being investigated for speeding in the switch zone. Did you also have an early release in that switch zone as well?
Didn't think so. The guys had said go, go, go. Then only went into drive and then was on the limiter. But okay, let's see. Yeah.
You overtook McLaren. The gap coming in was around 12 seconds, and you overtook through there. So it seemed to us something wasn't quite right.
Yeah, sure, I understand. Yeah, I don't know. On our radio, the guys have said go, go, go. So yeah.
I mean, other than that, a good drive for you. Happy with what you put out there?
Yeah, mostly good. The dust was very patchy, so could catch up and fall away again. But yeah, okay.
We'll wait and see for the penalties. Thanks.
You got to feel a bit for Lance. If the team were on the radio, Jenny, saying go, you don't sit there and go, oh no, I'm not sure, I came in 12 seconds back, do you?
Absolutely not. That would not be race mentality.
No.
Christine GZ just giving Laia Sanz a little bit of a cuddle. Of course, these guys all know each other so well now, don't they?
Yeah, spent a lot of time together, but they've also, you know, they're racing in different series where they're occasionally coming across each other as well.
Kinda compatriots? Kinda.
Yes. An off-road it's rally, rallycross, rally raid, extreme E. The paddock's just a little bit different. It's
I'm going
not
to jump in
quite
here
so
and break up
cutthroat
the
as it can be in single-seater.
post-quali analysis. Carlos, Laia, congratulations. A race win, a brilliant start from you, Carlos. You picked that line right, didn't you?
Well, it was very tight, obviously, with McLaren, and it was a little bit of contact, but finally we managed to go ahead, and then it was easier.
And a brilliant win. Laia just had to bring it home, didn't you? But you had all sorts going on behind with Veloce overtaking McLaren. But for you out in front, what was going through your mind?
Yeah, of course, it was a good gap. We had a good gap, but it's always a bit of pressure to keep the distance, to try to avoid mistakes. So I'm happy. We are strong, and hopefully tomorrow we can keep going like that.
A semi-final tomorrow. We'll wait to see how it all pans out once the mathematics are done. I haven't got them here with me, but it's going to be an exciting day, isn't it?
Yeah, very hot inside the car. Yeah, I think it has been a good day. No complaints, no problems, clean to run. So yeah, all good.
Just a word then on those conditions. You mentioned the heat. We've also had sort of somewhat sandstorms coming through as well. Huge gusts of winds through the last part of that race. How difficult was it in the car with the... I mean, I guess you're out in front, so not too much dust, but it's whipping around, isn't it?
No, for me it was good because I was in front. So I hope tomorrow to have something like that because will means that we are in front. So yeah, it's really dusty in the back. So yeah.
Keep that visibility clear. Thanks both so much. Well done.
So Sainz, great start. I wondered off the line if they'd got too much wheel spin, so much dirt kicked up. Faust was alongside, look, but he gave it up at the funnel. Here it is on board. This is with the Abt Cupra. So look at Faust, backs in, and they both just get in. Outstanding judgment from them, but now look, with Jutta, she just gets to the point along here, Jenny. There's somewhere where the dust kicks up and she can't see, and she just ends up running wide. That was GZ getting in front of Faust.
Yeah, it was good stuff, wasn't it? Just, that McLaren going on the two wheels, which isn't the ideal line, but didn't seem to cost them too greatly at that point, and Faust doing a great job.
Interesting to see how many alternate lines there are from the funnel up to that first left-hander. Faust was a long way off to the right, and actually Carlos Sainz was off to the left at that point as well. So I think there are potentially 3 lines on the run to the first tight left-hander.
Yep, I agree, absolutely. And it's just about giving yourself clear space in front, isn't it? To give yourself every chance and every advantage that you possibly can. The Axonia Science team looking gorgeous out there, out in front, no worries for them when it came to the dust.
Well, that's what Laia Sanz said, wasn't it? Yeah, it's good for me. I was in front, that's where I want to be tomorrow, and that's absolutely correct. Of course, this was her jumping into the car to take over from Carlos. Carlos loosening the belts off just a little bit before he jumps out.
So you can see there, look, Gilmore behind at roughly the same time. And then all of a sudden loses all of that advantage when we thought it was going to be a race between these two. Unfortunately, it wasn't. And there we can see Veloce and Woolridge is already out in front of that NEOM McLaren car. And I just think it unsettled the team far too much, gave Emma an absolute dust bomb to try and deal with, and out the front, it was plain sailing for Sanz.
It's a shame too, because I love seeing Lance on a push. You know, he's really good when he's pushing, and he did well to close down the gaps. Interesting what he said, patchy dust. He said when it wasn't dusty, I could gain, and of course that's the thing, when you can see, you can push that bit harder. Otherwise, your margins come in when you can't see quite so much. You can't go quite so close to the rocks and things. So it was a shame. Mistake from the team then, it sounds like, in the switch zone.
Yeah, car number 5 under investigation for switch zone overspeeding. We will keep an eye on that. Race control clearly dealing with it, but at the end you can just see in the background Kevin Hansen just closing down on Emma Gilmore. He made tremendous speed towards the end of this, just trying to gather, but unfortunately couldn't do it. But oh my goodness me, it was a close thing when it came to the finish line. Here we go, Leah Sands taking the finishing line, and a really decent time. Really good lap from her. And this was the run down to the finish line with JBXC behind the NEOM McLaren. Did decent job. So let's have a look at the provisional results, bearing in mind that car number 5 still under investigation.
P5, Kleinschmidt and Alatia. P4, Hosas and Hansen. Faust and Gilmore shown as P3, but we think in P2 the Veloce was possibly released early and possibly speeding in that switch zone. The winners, though, Carlos Sainz and Leah Sands. They were P2 in that first qualifying session. They will finish qualifying P2 to RXR, and I think they're looking like potential winners this weekend.
Oh, you reckon?
But, you know, potential.
I like it when you go all in on something, though.
You know.
Makes me smile.
RXR still very much the favourites with the form they've had. There is the results of qualifying, and those are the points we were talking about. So 10 for Kristoffersson, Arlen Kotlinski look from Q1, then they get 10 for their race. You can see Sainz and Sands will be just 1 point back with 9 from Q1 and 10 for the win in Q2. So tight at the top, but TQ does go to RXR.
Really good job. So let's find out a little bit more about Cristina Gutierrez.
I started in motorsport, not in motorsport, in little cars and motorbikes when I was 4 years old, because my father loves this world, and he put me in a motorbike when I was 4 years old. And when I was 6 years old, I asked to my father to please give me your car and give me his car. The car of my father, it was 4x4. It's not little, so you can see a little girl inside a big car, so it was funny. Sometimes I said that my father sometimes is a little bit crazy, because if I were mother one day, I don't know if I give to my son or to my daughter a car, no, or a little motorbike. So my father is very open, and he believed in me from the beginning of my life, so this is nice. In 2015, the FIA gave us the opportunity to 13 girls to go to Qatar to compete there, and to find three girls to go to the World Cup. The teacher was Utah, so it was very nice to see Utah here again. After that, I started to believe in myself to go to Rally Dakar. Another highlight maybe is this last year, because I broke my 3 vertebrae in the back. I made a very fast recovery to go to Greenland. I won the World Cup in cross country in T3 T3 category, and then we finished 3rd in Dakar in the same category. So for me, the last year maybe is the best one. It's curious, but I am a dentist, because I share my professional career in motorsport. I share with a professional career in the university. I see all my patients, and everyone is very curious about the motorsport, because sometimes it's, but you are the girl who ride in blah, blah, blah. And I said, yes, I mean. When you race, you need to go fast, and when you see the teeth, maybe it's better to go slowly. I love to continue motorsport, continue in this world, because I love. It's a big step, as I want to someday win the Dakar. For me, it was obviously Extreme, and Dakar now are my goals, and I want to win.
Well, a great addition to the Extreme E paddock and driver lineup. Just have a look at the qualifying heats, and then the semi-finals that we're expecting tomorrow. Of course, this is provisional at the moment, but these are what we're expecting, and some good lineups, eh?
They are indeed, yes. So interestingly, Veloce at the bottom of the page for the crazy race anyway. So that's, of course, they had a DNF, don't forget, from the previous one. But yeah, semi-final 1 It's RXR, Genesis Andretti United and Exciter in that one.
2, it is Acciona Science, Abt Cupra and X44 in semi-final 2, and just one space from the crazy race to go through to the final.
Yeah, so JBXC, NEOM McLaren, the number 99 Hummer EV, Chip Ganassi Racing,
hey!
and the Veloce Racing as well. So yeah, going to be some brilliant action tomorrow. And remember, of course, this is just round 1 of 2 this week. So we're excited about it. Hope you guys are excited about it at home as well.
Yeah, if you've enjoyed it, let us know. Get online, #ExtremeE, and we will be back tomorrow for those semi-finals and, of course, the final. Who will be the NEOM Island X Prix champion? Only time will tell.
Hyperdrive now.